Hello, hello. What day is it? It's Tuesday, Travel Tuesday. And I am here with a special guest, and it's going to be a wonderful, exciting, informative show. So here we go. All right. Well, thank you. Before I introduce my guest, I want to say I'm Eva with Jordan Travel Enterprise. I'm your group event travel specialist. And I would love to introduce you to my guest, Miss Denella Ri'chard. And Denella is a world traveler. She is a television personality and a former travel industry executive. Her travel show, Traveling with Denella Ri'chard, airs on Sunday on the CW South Florida. And so, welcome to the show, Denella.
Thank you so much, Eva, and thank you for that Caribbean music. It just puts us in a good vibe. You
Yes,
know, all we need is some pina coladas now.
yes. Okay, Danita, welcome to the broadcast. Welcome, and Jackie, Jackie, welcome to the
Hi,
broadcast. And she's
Jackie.
saying good day, Danella. All right. So my first question for you today is before I ask questions, I did a brief intro on your bio. Tell me a little bit more about yourself before we get started.
Well, I have been in the travel industry for 20 plus years. It is truly one of my loves and my passions. I've had a chance to own my own travel agency, work for a startup in Europe, and then go on to work for the big names like Hilton Worldwide, Norwegian Cruise Line, Carnival Corporation, and the Holland America brand. So, but in addition to that, as you mentioned, I have a television show. So I actually have a background in media. My degree is in broadcast journalism. So recently I had a chance to bring all of that together and do something special. So that's just a little bit more about me, Eva.
All right. So just have a varied background. I had the pleasure of meeting Danella. It's been years ago at a travel industry event, and she's one of the executives there. And we connected, Sam and I, and I did at that time did a little brief video with her, and it's just been exciting to stay in touch and then see how you're evolving as we all are in our lives and in our businesses and personal lives. So let me just start off by asking you this. You've had varied experience, but where does your love of travel, when you think back, where does your love of travel come from?
So my love of travel really comes from my mother and one of my aunts, my Aunt Norma. My Aunt Norma, so my family's from Louisiana. And my mom and dad are from a small town in Louisiana called Opelousas, Louisiana, a little country town. And
Mm.
nobody ever really left home. But when my aunt Norma left the nest, that kind of opened the doors, for the rest of us that came up behind her to be able to leave and travel. And she moved to California. So when Norma moved to California, we started going for summers, visiting her there and having a chance to, have summers on the West Coast. And then, believe it or not, my mom was also a tournament bowler. So she would
Wow.
bowl in these national tournaments, and they were always in either like Vegas or Orlando, so different places. So, because of my mom and my aunt, that's really how I started having the opportunity to travel at a young age. And then when I got old enough to start to make decisions to travel on my own, it was just in me and I wanted to go. So one of my first experiencing traveling on my own was I went to study abroad in Harare, Zimbabwe. And that was
Wow.
in early 1995. And it was not long after Nelson Mandela had become president in neighboring South Africa. So I had a chance to spend a lot of time in Zimbabwe, but I also had a chance to spend a lot of time in South Africa back then.
What a great experience, and to do that as a student, it just kind of opens up your world, and to be there at that time in history. What a blessing. What a blessing.
Yes.
So why did why did you launch a travel show in the middle of a pandemic?
That's the question everybody wants to know. And the reason being, Eva, you mentioned it before. We met years ago. And
Mhm.
one thing you know about the travel industry is we're like family. We're a close-knit family. And as I watched, borders close, airplanes couldn't fly, cruise passengers, didn't have people on cruise ships, no passengers, and just watching our world close around us, I knew I had to do something. I had to do my part. And my part was to find a way to inspire people to continue to dream and long to travel again. So that as we recovered, as borders opened, people still wanted to get out here and see the world. So for me, it was more of a passion and it was a survival tool for our family, our travel family. I had to jump in and do my part. And I was given the opportunity to launch a television show. And what better way than to put the travel industry on blast and say, look at all these amazing destinations. So since in 2 seasons we've covered South Africa and Kenya, we've covered Cancun and Mayakoba, Alaska, the Virgin Islands. USVI was just on our show on Sunday. Jamaica was prior to that. We've covered New Orleans. Oh my gosh, we've covered several different destinations over the last few months as we've worked our way through this pandemic. So that's the reason I launched a travel show during the middle of a pandemic, was to continue to help people be inspired and continue to dream about traveling so
Mhm.
that we would have an industry to come back to. And when come back, we come back strong.
Okay. Well, what I would like to do, since we were talking a little bit about your show, is to show to give a little intro. Are you able to see it on the screen?
I'm Denella Ri'chard. I've spent
I
the
can.
past
Okay, good.
20 plus years of my life traveling the world. I've lived as an expat in Europe and worked for world-renowned travel companies. Now, since everything we know about travel has changed, I invite you to come along with me and rediscover the world.
Okay, let me
So,
come
but
back.
that truly sums it up. The show is all about inviting people to come along with me and rediscover the world. Come and see what it's like out there. So, as I've had a chance to travel through the Caribbean, getting to know what is required. What are the entry requirements? Do you need a COVID test? Do you have to wear masks? What is it like out here? And so that's what I've been doing the last few months. And I got to tell you, I am inspired and I am more confident than ever that, especially in the Caribbean, where I've spent quite a bit of time, that they are doing what they need to do to welcome guests and give us peace of mind in visiting their destinations.
Okay. A few people said they had trouble seeing the video, so maybe we'll show that at the end again because apparently it didn't show. I do have a question, so let me put that question up. It says, with all the shows recorded pre-pandemic, were the shows recorded pre-pandemic or during the pandemic? And if during, how was the experience different?
So we recorded all during the pandemic. And let me tell you, it's interesting because for the last 2 weeks, I've been in 2 major media conferences. And the one thing all the networks and people wanted to know, all these, again, television industry executives and people are asking me, how are you able to travel and film during the pandemic? According to them, I'm one of the few shows, not just travel show, I'm probably the only travel show that has current shows, current footage, and we are actually out here traveling. So I was just in the Virgin Islands filming 3, maybe 4 weeks ago. But yeah, so we're out there traveling. Now, how is it different? So what's different is you definitely have to have a negative COVID test. You have to have a travel authorization. So it's usually via the Tourism Board's portal. You're submitting that information. And then once you get to your destination, there are a few things that have changed a little bit. And I won't say change. What I'm going to say is vacationing is definitely a little bit different. And what I mean by that, Eva, we're used to going to the all-inclusive resorts where we can, go up to the pool bar, have drinks, talk with all the people, meet the different people. So no, you're not going to be doing that. That's a little bit different. However, what I have discovered is that I've been getting out beyond the resort and really connecting with nature. So whether it's going to Dunn's River Falls in Jamaica, swimming with the dolphins in St. Thomas, riding ATVs while in Jamaica, I'm finding it's all about connecting with nature, because we still have to, we wear masks everywhere we go. And you still have to practice, right? And you still have to practice a little bit. You have to practice social distancing, but you can still get out and have a great time on, and still vacation. So that's what we've discovered.
It sounds great. And I'm glad that you mentioned that you are able to travel now with the mask. And I know that's a question that people are wondering. Do they wear masks? Are they social distancing?
They are. And let me expound on that a little bit, Eva. In St. Thomas, I interviewed their commissioner of tourism, Mr. Joseph Basholte. And he talked about how, when they implemented the no mask, no service policy, that actually they were one of the first of the United States to implement that policy and embrace it. And no matter where you go in St. Thomas, you see those signs, so whether you're going to, a restaurant, whether you're going to the adventure parks, wherever you go, everyone's wearing their mask. And believe me, it gives you great peace of mind. And then when I went to Jamaica, I interviewed the Minister of Tourism there, the Honorable Minister Edmund Bartlett. And he talked about how they created a tourism bubble from Negril with Montego Bay in the middle on over to Ocho Rios. So with this tourism bubble, any of the businesses that wanted to service tourists, they actually had to go through COVID training, if you will, right? And get certified, get a certificate that says they've been through the training to service guests. And let me tell you, the training is simple, teaching them the basics. Wear your mask, hands touchless, hand sanitizing machine, social distancing. These are not expensive things that can be done, right? To ensure health and safety. I even went to the bakery, this Rasta man, it's called the Pudding Man, and in Ocho Rios. And I went to the Pudding Man's bakery to get bread pudding and some of his sweet potato pie and the other stuff that he does there. And even the Pudding Man had touchless hand sanitizer machines, and they're practicing social distancing and doing everything they need to do. And I was just so impressed, because I'm right here in South Florida. And I can't tell you how many places I go here where people are not consistently wearing their masks. And then everywhere I go here, I have to touch the hand sanitizer machine. And come on, in Jamaica and everywhere else, they have touchless, they got it. That's not an expensive thing to do.
Right. That is so true, that here where we should know better, we're not doing what we should be doing. You've kind of answered some of my questions already. I do have one that I got from a friend who said, how challenging, and she's in the travel industry. She said, how challenging was it to change from a travel agency owner to corporate travel to becoming a TV show host?
Wow. So different points in my life. So at the time, I owned a travel agency. So this was probably a few years, like around 9/11, I think I started it. So not too long after that. But during that time, while I was growing my business, I was getting a lot of groups. It was a little bit of a struggle for me in terms of, you guys know how this industry is. You get paid one, in a lot of cases, after your client travels, right? So if you book them 2 years out, you're waiting for a commission check for 2 years, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
for me at that time, it just became more of a financial strain for me. And I had to make a decision to take an opportunity that was offered to me, but it was with a big name. It was with Hilton Worldwide, right? Working in global marketing for them. So it was a great opportunity at that time. And for me back then, it was worth it for me to shut down my agency and go into the corporate world. And that's where I spent, as I mentioned, several years with Hilton Worldwide, then going into the cruise industry with Norwegian and Carnival Corporation, the Holland America brand. Now, how did I make the pivot from corporate into television? Well, it was because of this little thing called COVID-19. And when the cruise industry had to start downsizing positions, I was affected and impacted. And you know what? As a friend told me, it really launched me into my destiny, because media, television has always been a part of me. As I mentioned, my degree is in media and television. And I still had a lot of the contacts. So a friend of mine had launched a streaming television network and he contacted me. He was like, hey, if you got some free time, why don't you do a travel show? You've been talking about doing it for years. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So I did a few episodes with him. And then an agency came to me wanting to represent me and take the show to the CW, South Florida, which is the same station with Dr. Oz, Tamron Hall. And before you know it, we had a show. And we hit the road and started inviting people to come with us and rediscover the world and see what it's like out here.
Sounds great. Jackie asked the question, how can we watch your replays of your episode? She's in the Atlanta area.
Yes. So the easiest way to watch them is visit my website at travelingwithdenella.com. And that's one L in traveling and Denella, Denella. And there you go. It's on the screen right now, travelingwithdenella.com.
All right.
And hold on, but the show airs on Sundays. You can watch it in Atlanta. The show airs on Sundays on the CJC network at 8:30 Eastern time and 11:30 Eastern time. So if you have a smart TV, you have a Roku, or you have a Fire Stick, download the Distro TV app. That's the easiest one, Distro TV, and it's on channel 170, the CJC. And if you go to my website, those details are there. But you can watch it via the Distro TV app, Tiki Live, Select TV, any of these streaming apps. And if you have an Atari gaming station, we are even in the Atari gaming station. You can watch the show on Sunday nights at 8:30 and 11:30, no matter where you are in the world.
Sounds good. And Jackie said, such a wonderful journey, Denella. Thanks for sharing your resilience.
Thank you, Jackie.
Let me see what questions. There's so many that I want to ask you. Is this an industry that you recommend for a newcomer to enter now? In view of COVID and what's happening with the travel industry, how it's slowed down, and so.
It is definitely an industry that I still recommend for a newcomer. Now, what I will say is we have to manage their expectations, because right now with COVID, things are a little bit different. But what we all know who've been in this industry for a long time, we know travel industry is resilient. You know, we got through 9/11 and so many other things, right? We bounced back. So just like I'm getting out here, I'm visiting these destinations, going to these resorts. Let me tell you, the planes are pretty full, okay? But people are wearing their masks, and the resorts, 50% occupancy, the ones that I've been to. So travel is definitely coming back. So to a newcomer, I would say just manage your expectations and know that the recovery will be a little bit slow this year, but it is coming back in full bloom. And there's absolutely no better industry in the world to be a part of. because you get to travel, you get to see the world, you get to meet so many different people, so many people from different cultures, try different foods. It just broadens your horizons. And then, of course, being a part of the industry, there are different exclusive opportunities, whether it's through fam trips or different, events that you can take part of that allow you to see the world at usually a pretty good price. So absolutely, I recommend it for a newcomer.
Okay. I totally agree. And that kind of brings me to a frequently asked question it's kind of going around in the travel industry right now, in terms of diversity. What is it a diverse industry, and are there opportunities? I can recall when I first got into the industry, I would look around and there wasn't many people that looked like me. And it's slowly improving, but I want to hear your thoughts on that question.
So when we say the word diversity is very broad. The travel industry is diverse. There are lots of women. There are lots of people from the LGBTQ community. There are lots, there are people of color. I can't say lots, but there are people of color, So when you go down the diversity spectrum, we're a global industry. We have diversity. We have diversity of cultures, people from different countries. We have all that. Travel industry is diverse. Where the travel industry has the greatest opportunity is with equity and inclusion, in particular with people of color. This has been an industry that has long been very incestuous. So it's all about helping their friends' friends. They already have their network of people. So you'll find, like Eva, I'm sure on the travel agent side, when you meet BDMs, they've been in the industry 20, 30 years, a new BDM comes in, you hear, I knew them. I worked with them over here, right? Mm-hmm. So where the opportunity, though, lies is equity and inclusion, and making opportunities in particular for people of color that look like you and me. Mm-hmm. And let me be very specific, okay? At the senior leadership executive ranks, there are not a lot of us. There are a lot of women. There are a lot of Caucasian women. There are a lot of men from the LGBT community. But what you don't see is a lot of people of color in the higher executive ranks. And what I wish for the travel industry for 2021 and beyond is to take a moment to embrace and understand what equity and inclusion is all about and why it is of value to your organization. MMG did a study in 2019 that was released in 2020 that showed that Black people drove $190 million in leisure travel revenue in 2019. Mm-hmm. And we're still asking and begging, can you put a little person of color in the ad? Yeah. Can we get a Black person in the ad? That's ridiculous. I mean, the numbers are there to justify and show, include us, give us equal treatment, because that's just the right thing to do, quite frankly. And so for anyone that may have seen the White House briefing last week where Susan Rice spoke, she talked about equity and inclusion and the importance of it to this administration. Now, in the last few weeks and as recently as today, I saw where Royal Caribbean posted on LinkedIn that their CEO, Richard Fain, signed the CEO Diversity Pledge. And the Diversity Pledge goes beyond diversity to talk specifically about equity and inclusion. So providing those additional opportunities for people who have been historically disadvantaged. Eva, you've been around this industry long enough. We should not still be going to conferences and not see a person of color on stage speaking, representing these major companies. Now, Carnival Corporation did a great job. You have Arnold Donald, who's the CEO, And then you had my boss at Howell America, who was Orlando Ashford. You had me. Carnival Cart hired a lot of people of color. But the reality is COVID-19 struck, and most of us are now gone. So it will be interesting to see if the industry embraces, welcomes us back, and provides opportunities. Not because we're asking for it because we're people of color, but because we have the degrees, the experience, the background to do the job.
Amen. That's what I can say. Amen. What can we do in terms of, I know that there's a few, agents travel agency industry people online, and just the consumers. What is there something that you can suggest that we can do that can make a difference?
I think right now in the travel industry, so are you asking even in terms of the travel industry overall, or?
The travel industry overall.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we can do is continue to inspire people to travel and give them the information they need to give them the confidence to get out here and travel in a responsible and COVID conscious way. That's what we can do. Continue to inspire people to get out here and travel.
And that's what we all are trying to do. And so look forward to it in the future. And you know what? I think that we all are going to have a unique love for it and appreciation. That's the word I'm looking for. A unique appreciation for travel now that, things are different. And Kim says, love travel talk. We need more great information, ladies. So thank you, Kim, for joining.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Jackie has a comment. She says, having you on TV is important to seeing people, women of color in travel media. Thank you for stepping into this position. And I wholeheartedly agree.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Eva. But Jackie's point is very important. And the reason let me take a moment on that. Okay. It's because we're creating the positions. I had to create that opportunity and step into it. A young lady called me last night. Her name is Devon Reeves. She owns a Home2 hotel in Oklahoma. And she also owns one. She's closing today on one in Minneapolis, on a Hyatt Place in Minneapolis. Now, Devon came through the corporate ranks, working in the hotel industry, working even at the hotels. As far as I know, she was never elevated to general manager and beyond. So what did Devon do? She went out and bought her own hotel. Actually, two. Okay. So what we as women of color and Black girl magic, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of us are seeing and witnessing. When and if opportunities are not made available to us, sometimes we have to create our own. And guess what? That's not a bad thing. Because sometimes God is actually pushing us into our destiny. So it's not a bad thing.
So sometimes I was just telling this to my granddaughter, sometimes we view things that have happened to us that are bad and we're like, oh, this is horrible. But then you see how God works it out and it turns it around for you. He closed that door for a reason, to open up more opportunities, which is such a blessing. And you're such a blessing to us in the travel industry. We've gone over a lot of questions. Let me see. Just one on a personal note for you. On your website, travelingwithdenella.com, it says that you are an undercover artist. What does that mean?
What that means is when the pandemic struck, so back in March, and we were all locked in our houses and told not to go out. Mm-hmm. I'm blessed enough to live in South Florida, and I have a balcony. So I bought some paint, I bought an easel, and I grabbed a good bottle of wine. I won't say every night, but a few nights of the week. And I got out there and I just started painting and enjoying my time. And it was just so relaxing. And so I started posting some of my art on Facebook just to, just as entertainment, show people what I've been up to during the pandemic. And people started asking, could they buy it? And I was just absolutely amazed. So I never sold a painting to anyone, but I did gift it. I did gift paintings to those that were interested in my art. So that's the undercover artist, Eva.
All right. All right. Creativity. Bless, the hard times have come out of this season, even for my family, furlough and a layoff, which was a blessing in disguise. But it's just being open to change and the new things in life. So I want to try to before, as we get ready to close, I don't want to keep you guys too long. Try to show that video again, and then I'm going to come back and close this out. And so think about any last minute comments that you want to make while I show the video, or you can talk right now while I'm setting it up. Actually, make sure that this time people get to actually hear it.
I'm Denella Ri'chard. I've spent the last 20 plus years of my life traveling the world. I've lived as an expat in Europe and worked for world-renowned travel companies. Now, since everything we know about travel has changed, I invite you to come along with me and rediscover the world.
Okay, I hope that this time that you guys were able to hear that intro and that you will come and check out her show to stay connected, and don't keep it a secret, because we know when we go on the Travel Channel, we're not seeing a lot of travel. We're seeing other things. So spread the word. Spread the word. Okay.
Please do. Just think of Denella and Sundays. I'm on Sunday mornings in South Florida at 10:30 on the CW, and Sunday evenings you can catch me on the CJC. Like I said, go to my website, download any of those apps, or if your kids have an Atari gaming station, you can even watch it there.
All right. And if you are interested in doing a group travel event, reunion, a conference out of the country, or a girlfriend's getaway, then you can go to group.travelwitheva.com. There's a survey there that you complete. And then I want you to go to schedule.travelwitheva.com and schedule your complimentary consultation to see if we're a good match, and would love to hear from you. So let me go back to Denella and check any last minute comments before we close out. Jackie said she can't wait to download the app to watch some of the episodes this week.
Awesome, Jackie.
And
Thank you for the support.
And I don't see any other questions. I'm doing a quick look. And so if you have any last minute words for us before we close.
My last minute words are get out there and rediscover the world, but do it responsibly. Wear your mask, and you're going to find out as you get out there, no mask, no service. So have a cute mask. I actually got to get some cute masks.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for being on the broadcast. And if you are a replay viewer, I want you to put replays rock in the comments. If you have a question you want to ask Denella, you can put it there, and she'll be checking back, and I'll be checking back and get that information to her. And thank you so much for joining. And I always like to end my show with have a blessed day, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world, and do take time to be a blessing to someone else.
Amen.
Bye for now.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.